the Cowboys' defensive tackle room. Let's just say, it's got more questions than answers right now. As we inch closer to training camp, one thing is becoming clear. This interior defensive line might not be ready for battle. According to Nick Harris of the Fort Worth Star-Telegram, the Cowboys will likely carry 5 defensive tackles heading into the season. But here's the catch, one of them might not even be on the roster yet. And honestly, that tracks. Right now, depth at defensive tackle is paper thin. You've got your core guys, odighizuwa, Mazi Smith, and Solomon Thomas, locked in. No debate there, but after those 3, things get dicey. Fast. We're talking about a group where the bottom 4 guys have played just 13 total snaps since the start of the 2023 season. That's not depth. That's a red flag waving in the wind. Here's the current roster list. odighizuwa, Mazi Smith, Solomon Thomas, Junior Fahoko, Perrion Winfrey, Denzel Daxon, TJ. Base listed as Tommy Akingbesote, now toia. He's interesting. A 7th-round rookie with upside, especially at nose tackle. He flashed a little juice in college, racked up 25 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, a sack, and 19 pressures. And sure, he's a massive presence at 340 pounds, built to plug gaps. But let's be real, potential is not production. And until the pads come on in Oxnard, we don't know who he really is in an NFL fight. Even Mazi Smith, last year's first-rounder, remains a mystery. After a quiet rookie season and some strange weight fluctuations, the Cowboys still don't have a true identity in the middle. He's up to 337 pounds now, but will it translate into power at the point of attack? Here's the concern. Dallas is heading into another season hoping that raw bodies at nose tackle will fix a very real problem, stopping the run. We saw this movie last year. Mazi, a few late camp signings, undrafted guys, and the same result, soft up the middle. This time around, the team can't afford to make the same mistake. If you're a Cowboys fan, you should be asking the same question. Do we really have the right pieces at defensive tackle? Is this room built to hold up against NFC powerhouses when it matters most? Because if the answer is no, then Dallas better get aggressive and fast. Let's talk size, and more importantly, let's talk strength up front. Right now, the Cowboys don't have nearly enough beef on the interior. Tommy Akingbesote clocks in around 306 pounds. Denzel Daxon, 304. That's not nose tackle weight, that's tweener territory. You need true space eaters in the trenches, and outside of Mazi Smith, this roster doesn't have them. Perrion Winfrey is only 290. odighizuwa hovers around 280. And even if he's added a little muscle, he's built for quickness, not anchor duty. Then there's Solomon Thomas, officially listed at just 256 pounds. Realistically, he's probably closer to 275 to 280 right now. But either way, that's a pass rush body, not a run-stuffing wall. And that's the problem. Who in this group can consistently stop the run? Not OSA, that's not his game. He's more of a disruptor than a gap plugger. Not Winfrey, he's a 3-tech with burst, not a plug and hold anchor. Thomas? Speed over size. It's a defensive tackle room filled with athleticism and potential, but it's severely lacking one key ingredient: raw power in the middle. Now, if Winfrey ends up as your 5th defensive tackle, you might survive. But if you're counting on him to provide anchor-level strength at nose, you're setting yourself up to get gashed again. Let's take a look at the 2 wild cards in this group, players Nick Harris of the Fort Worth Star-Telegram listed as projects. First, Tommy Akingbesote, a late-round draft pick. Physically, he's got traits you like: big frame, long arms, and flashes of strength. But right now, he's raw. He had just 1 sack last season, and his impact on tape was minimal. Realistically, this feels like a draft and stash move. Think practice squad development project. If all goes well, maybe in a year or 2, he turns into a rotational backup, especially if someone like Solomon Thomas moves on. But you can't bank on seventh-rounders to fix your defensive front. That's just not smart team building. Then there's Denzel Daxon, who is part of the NFL's International Player Pathway program. That gives him a free practice squad exemption. Essentially, he's your 17th man. The upside? You don't have to burn a valuable spot on him. But the downside? He's still incredibly raw. Unless he explodes during the preseason, Daxon isn't making the 53-man roster. Not this year. So where does that leave us? This group has potential, but potential doesn't win games in December. The Cowboys need more strength, more experience, and more reliability at defensive tackle, especially at nose. If this team wants to stop the run, dominate up front, and finally stand toe-to-toe with the NFC's elite ground attacks, they need help. What's your confidence level right now in the Cowboys' defensive tackle room? Scale it 1 to 10. Because unless something changes soon, that number shouldn't be very high. With odighizuwa and Solomon Thomas already locked in as your top interior disruptors, the bigger need right now: a true nose tackle, a space eater, a tone setter, someone who can clog lanes, hold the point, and take on double teams without blinking. Let's talk options, and frankly, there aren't many that inspire confidence. Raekwon fits the profile physically. He's tall, massive, and has flashed upside. But after signing a decent contract with Miami, his production actually fell off. Last year with the Colts, he struggled. It's tough to trust a guy trending in the wrong direction, especially at a position where consistency is everything. Then there's Linval, a familiar name for Cowboys fans. He's been floated as a potential training camp addition. Again, he's been around, hasn't done a full camp in years. But when called upon, he gave Dallas meaningful snaps. Some of those sacks may have been a little fluky, but still, he produced. If the Cowboys need 15 to 20 solid snaps a game from a veteran, Joseph might be the safest fallback. But here's the issue: we've seen this movie before. Dallas went into last season with the same approach. Patch up the middle with aging vets and long shots. It didn't work. The run defense collapsed when it mattered. And now we're staring at the exact same setup, hoping for a different result. That's not a plan. That's deja vu. Even Carlos Watkins, who was added mid-season last year, was barely a band-aid. Solid? Sure. Impactful? Not really. He's the definition of just a guy. He won't kill your defense, but he's not elevating it either. Other names being floated don't exactly spark excitement. Austin Johnson, a journeyman out of Penn State, has bounced around the league. He's big but limited. Khalil Davis is undersized and has struggled to stick anywhere despite intriguing athleticism. Armon Watts has flashed here and there, a few tackles for loss, some versatility. But again, we're talking about rotational bodies, not game changers. This is the harsh truth. The free agent defensive tackle market in July is a wasteland. There are bodies available, but not much talent that moves the needle. So what's the move? A trade. It might be time to pick up the phone. There are names out there that would be worth a call. Personally, I'd love to see Gervon Dexter in a Cowboys uniform. He's young, talented, and buried on the Bears' depth chart. Andrew Billings. Same team, and an underrated run defender. The problem? Chicago probably isn't letting either go easily. Zach Pickens, though, that's interesting. Another bear, and possibly the odd man out in a crowded room. If Dallas is serious about fixing their run defense, guys like that have to be on the radar. The question is, will the Cowboys keep recycling the same approach, or will they finally get aggressive and go fix this? Because time is running out. Training camp is around the corner, and the defensive line still has a hole in the heart of it. Name a defensive tackle you want the Cowboys to add, whether free agent or trade target, because doing nothing is not an option anymore. If Dallas waits until late August or early September, Maybe someone like Zach Pickens shakes loose. He's got size and upside, even if he's more of a 3-tech than a true nose. But truthfully, that's just more of the same. Hoping someone else's depth becomes your answer. And yeah, we all want DJ Reader, who wouldn't? But let's be honest, that's likely just wishful thinking. A fantasy cooked up by analytics and wish lists. Cincinnati's not giving up a foundational piece like that without a fight. Broderick Martin might be gettable. He's got size, no doubt, but he's a flyer, a former day 2 pick by Detroit who hasn't done much. If you're hoping he turns into something, you're gambling on traits, not production. Jordan Elliott, now with the 49ers, was part of Cleveland's D-line shuffle. He could be an odd man out in San Francisco's stacked rotation. That makes him a name to watch. Same goes for Shy Tuttle in Carolina, a big-bodied interior guy who flashed at times, including one memorable rep against Zach Martin. Still, Tuttle's more of a rotational clogger than a long-term solution. The Cowboys did some homework on Tyler Lacey in the draft process. He's now with Jacksonville, another team that overhauled its defensive tackle group. If he becomes available, there might be some familiarity there. But here's the real truth. If you wanted a difference maker at defensive tackle, you had to act in March. That's when the market had impact players. That's when the blue chip names were out there. Waiting until training camp. That's when you're bargain hunting. That's when you're just looking for bodies. Fans dream about Grover Stewart or DeForest Buckner. But let's be real, unless Indianapolis completely unravels, they're not moving off those guys. The Colts need to win, and both are core to their defense. Maybe that changes by the trade deadline. But for now, don't hold your breath. This is the price of waiting. If Dallas wants to plug the middle of the defense with real power, true, dependable power, the time to act was months ago. Now, you're left combing through other teams' leftovers, hoping something sticks. And hope isn't a strategy.